Good evening, this is the Oscar X. We're here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Magazine Dreams.
This is going to be a fun one to talk about.
This film's directed by Elijah Bynum. Jonathan Majors plays an amateur bodybuilder who dreams of being on magazines. In addition to being this bodybuilder, he is like the most socially awkward person and also has a mental health issue. This movie is a very intense, strange, sometimes very exciting, sometimes frustrating and disturbing character study. I have very mixed feelings on it, but at the very least, I would say this movie was memorable, like even in the ways in which I don't like it. And it features an incredible, one-of-a-kind performance from Jonathan Majors.
This movie was pretty excellent for like the first half, maybe even a little bit more. You could feel that the audience was going through many difficult and strange emotions that they did not expect to go through. And it made it kind of a blast for a while. There's a really great scene with Haley Bennett, who has a supporting role in here. She has a couple scenes, but she's like excellent in one scene in particular, where Jonathan Majors may also be his best scene in the film. You will never forget that scene if you watch the movie. In isolation, it's so perfect, so incredibly cringy. If you like cringe, it has a lot of cringe there, waiting for you to discover it.
I liked when the movie was the kind of cringe where you don't know if you're supposed to be laughing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the movie would like push you into laughter.
Well, I think that's like why it works.
Yeah, and that's also what makes it cringe.
Because
you don't know if you're supposed to
there's this
laugh.
like stark seriousness about the subject matter that makes you like not want to laugh at all, because it's somewhere between like heartbreaking and just terrifying. And then it gives you these kind of wild moments where something absurd happens and you're almost like invited to laugh and you don't expect it. That was just kind of brilliant, I thought.
Yeah, and this character, like, he slowly becomes more and more bizarre. Like, I had no idea what I was watching. I thought this was going to be like a wrestling movie. And slowly you realize that this guy is just, I don't want to say, but I'll just say, like, unlike any other character I've watched. If you created a personality for this guy, he would get like some 10s and a bunch of zeros. Like there's nothing in between. He's such an extreme person.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of the character in Nightcrawler that Jake Gyllenhaal plays. There's something screw loose that makes him unhuman, or like a little bit beyond like the rest of humanity, like on the outside of it. But at the same time, we are absolutely invited to like empathize with him in the beginning, I feel. I think the really special thing about Jonathan Majors' performance was the sympathy that his character elicits. And that is very, very important to establish early on before the rest of the film gets going, and that's all I'll say about that. The score is also like kind of maximalist. I think overall it worked really well for me. I think the score was pretty brilliant.
There's also really good sound design in this movie. And the cinematography is very solid as well. Like
yeah,
there are so many things about it that are really strong. A lot of great supporting performances as well. We mentioned Haley Bennett. Harriet Sampson Harris has kind of a Licorice Pizza-ish role where she's like behind a desk, but she, you know, brings everything possible
to a role that she's a therapist, and she brings a lot to a role that's like typically, you know, could go unnoticed. So bravo to her.
Taylor Page also comes in for a scene, and she's very good too.
Yeah.
We don't want to spoil really what happens in this movie or where it goes. I think the trailer will reveal more than we are going to, but
yeah, I think you should. I honestly think if you know you want to watch it, you shouldn't watch the trailer or read too much about it.
But I will say that the maybe last like 40 minutes of this movie, it becomes disturbing in ways where like it is pushing a lot of anxieties that most audiences probably have.
Yeah.
And it's deeply uncomfortable. And I feel like when you go there as a filmmaker, I want to know why you're doing this, and I want to feel like you had a really clear purpose for putting me through that.
And a lot of it was red herrings too. Like, it makes you imagine that something's about to happen that would be like very traumatizing to watch. Then it kind of like backs off of that, and it does this a few times, and it became frustrating for me.
It could have done it once, honestly.
It was kind of upsetting that it was doing that, because I was like, do you not know like where you're going? And by the end, I felt like I had lost a little bit of my connection with the character. It went a little too far for me.
I feel like the movie was begging me to stop sympathizing with this character after a certain point. And I also thought that the climax, or I guess the character arc, was confusing. It was like the movie was kind of pretending that the character changed in this way, but then it was like, but also you didn't? It's an incredibly interesting character study. Like, I can't take my eyes off it in a way, but I don't know what to like do with that. I don't know what to do with the movie.
And I was okay with the movie being one of those where it doesn't tell me what to do with this. Like, it doesn't give me a prescription or anything. But by the end, it plays into so many like deep fears and like traumas that I feel like it has to do something, and it seems like it's not interested in that. And by the end, I was also confused like what I was supposed to take away about the character himself. But in a way, I guess like complements the film because I was invested and taking it seriously. Even though it is larger than life, it absolutely relates to a contingent of society. I think that's actually like really real. And that's probably why I want the film to make more of a statement if you're going to go into there and not be careless and not feel like you're just doing a like splatter painting of this and you don't really care like what
like to
portrait
be
you're building.
Bold and shocking or something. I thought it was going to end like 10 different times, and if it ended at any of those places, I probably would have liked the movie just about as much.
Or more, because it would have spared you, like, the subsequent endings.
I think I came out of this movie veering negative, but the movie was such an experience that I almost feel like I'm glad I saw it, and especially for Jonathan Majors, I am glad I got to witness that. Because like I said, it's truly a one-of-a-kind performance. So even though a lot about it did not work for me, I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10 on it.
I'm going to go with a decidedly mixed out of 10. Whatever that means to you is fine. Very strong positives, very strong negatives, and sometimes, you know, a 5 connotes negative and a 6 connotes positive. I'm just going to say decidedly mixed. You can,
a 5.99 repeating.
That's just a 6.
No, it's not. In theory, it's not a 6.
And some people are wondering, does Jonathan Majors get into Best Actor next year at the Academy Awards? Listen, when I left the screening, I was like, people might hate this. People might be upset at this movie. The reaction has actually been more positive than I thought it was going to be. If you watch it, you are thinking like, holy shit, this performance. You know, it'll get you really excited about Jonathan Majors in general.
If you're not already.
And I think it depends on the visibility of the film and what happens to it when it comes out. Unfortunately, it's sort of an ambiguous answer, but I do think it could happen for him. The movie is not likely to be nominated in any other categories. It would be like a lone thing.
It's also not like a typical Bate performance. Like, it's not a biopic. He's not playing a real person. It's a fictional character that is just very interesting, like Nightcrawler, but like with worse reviews. Like, I don't know. I don't know where that puts it. I would say I would bet on it not happening, but it like could build momentum. There's a world where it builds momentum.
It's also very bizarre. It's also very bizarre.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Do you like to make your muscles look big?